Hot take, but it shouldn't be. Inside Out isn't a good movie. The world building is atrocious, the plot has way too many side quests, and it doesn't handle its characters very well. The sequel, on the other hand, was a pretty good movie. I would very much recommend you watch Inside Out 2 before watching this review, because I will be spoiling everything important. The movie starts out by explaining a few new features in Riley's mind. Under the headquarters, there is a river that extracts the experiences from the memories to create beliefs. And lucky for us, as the audience, they say what they are when they are strummed. Early in the film, Joy waltzes through some of them, and they say things like, "I am strong, I am a great friend, and I am a kind person." All of Riley's beliefs come together in headquarters to give her an identity. And Riley's identity is, and I quote, "I am a good person." Now, when I heard that, my cringe levels went off the chart. But moving on, the emotions in Riley's head have cultivated this sense of identity by carefully picking what emotions to place in the river. And not only that, they also handpick bad memories and dump them in the back of the mind. Why don't they just dump them off at the graveyard? Great question. It's so Joy and the gang will be able to return at the end, and it's also a means of keeping the bad memories alive so that the emotional climax can happen as well. That is the basic setup for this film. We have Riley. She has emotions that push buttons on a console in her head that interacts with the world for Riley. That creates memories that either get selected to become a belief, they get trashed, or placed in long-term memory. You don't need to worry about those personality islands. They weren't ever a factor in this film. In fact, there are only 5 now. They're mentioned at the beginning and then never again. Puberty then strikes Riley, and this means that new emotions are added to her mind. She now has anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and boredom. They decide to lock up joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger, and now they must make their way back to headquarters to help Riley. In the physical world, Riley has gotten the opportunity to go to a hockey skills camp with her 2 best friends and the high school team she wants to play for. Much drama happens over the course of the 3-day camp, mostly due to the fact that the new emotions have decided it best for Riley's future to train extra hard and earn the respect of her future teammates by ignoring her old ones. After all, her friends won't be on her team next year, so why shouldn't she focus on the new friends she'll have? Now this is wrong, because Riley lies to hide embarrassment, she lies about her opinions, she even breaks into the coach's office to look at her notes about herself, and eventually, she does some really shady stuff on the ice during the final scrimmage. But I will praise this film because almost every decision Riley makes in this movie makes logical sense, which is something I can't say about the first film. This movie does a much better job about showing Riley as a normal person. Everything comes to a head when Riley is sent to the penalty box and anxiety starts freaking out. Anxiety has changed Riley's core belief from "I'm a good person" to "I'm not good enough." This obviously wasn't what anxiety was trying to do, but now it's too late. Everything anxiety does just makes everything worse. I was super worried how they were going to deal with anxiety and anxiety attacks, and honestly, I am super impressed with how they did it. One of Riley's friends sees her freaking out, but doesn't do anything about it during the game. Riley has to deal with it herself. No one comes up to her, telling her everything is going to be alright. From the outside, it simply appears that Riley takes a few deep breaths and gains her composure. What's happening on the inside is that all of Riley's bad memories come flooding into her mind. She has to deal with her memories of failure she has tried to forget, but her memories aren't what control her, and neither are her emotions. No, there aren't any emotions at the control board. Instead, it's Riley's beliefs that are able to overcome her emotions and bring her back. Fantastic. What else happens? Anxiety then learns to take a back seat and becomes a healthy concern for Riley, which is literally what fear should be doing, but whatever, now she has 2 emotions that do the same thing. Riley makes the hockey team, I'm assuming, and then we cut to black. This plot is very streamlined compared to the first film. Every scene is important and progresses the plot very well as giving us important time for characters to interact in important ways. Now, the world building, it's abysmal. The Cars universe has nothing on Inside Outs, but the plot on a whole, it's okay. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Now for the good stuff. These characters are great. I already praised the film for how they represented Riley to us, but I'm going to say it all again. This movie gave us an actual person who is gaining control of her emotions. Literally the entire time, the emotions tried to control Riley, but ultimately, she's the one in control. I love the way they represented her making decisions. When Joy was at the board, Riley was still hesitating to do the right thing. But when Anxiety was at the board, she leaped into doing what she thought was the best for her in every situation. As far as the emotions go, they're almost all fantastic. Fear, anger, and disgust are all way better in this one than in the first film. Everyone seems to be maturing and doing a much better job for Riley. Joy is still disillusioned, though. She tries to protect Riley by discarding memories she deems as bad, and Joy cultivates a sense of identity that really isn't healthy. Yes, it's good to be a good person, but it's not a true self if you are lying about what you are, which Joy is doing by trashing her unwanted memories. Joy doesn't even seem to completely understand what she has done till the very end, when she lets Riley sort out her own memories for herself. Joy was fantastic in this film. She argues with Anxiety about controlling Riley, but doesn't realize that her own philosophy has flaws till the very end. Anxiety was portrayed very well. At heart, she wants what's best for Riley, but she's obsessive and unhealthy about how she goes about doing it. I was really impressed with pretty much everything to do with Anxiety. The other new emotions were in the spotlight very much, but they played their parts pretty well. Envy and embarrassment were way better than in Boredom, but I thought that was just because Boredom didn't do anything, and I thought that was fine. Boredom doesn't need to do much anything. She's Boredom. I don't even know why she was in this movie, to be honest. Sadness was very underused. She had one moment I really liked. Anxiety was trying to make Riley read her coach's book, and sadness came through as a sort of shameful emotion, which I didn't think they would represent positively, but they did. And it was great. But on a whole, sadness was very much lacking from the story. But for all of the characters, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. Very solid. And now, I would like to dedicate this third segment to the themes of this movie. Inside Out 2 is yet another story about growing up. Pixar keeps coming back to this, and sometimes it's easy to think about every time it has been done poorly and not want it anymore. But I think Inside Out 2 is a great reminder that growing up is very involved. We will never stop writing stories about it because there are seemingly infinite experiences to share about growing up and changing. This film is hyper focused on anxiety, and I was shocked how deep they dove into the issue. Anxiety is introduced to us as simply another emotion, focused on helping Riley, but anxiety isn't focused on the right things. Opposed to Joy, who knows that Riley loves her family and friends and gets a great sense of joy when she is around them, anxiety is focused on Riley's well-being. She thinks that making friends with potential teammates is better for Riley than interacting with her best friends. And it is here the movie got me hooked, because most people would probably feel like anxiety is doing something wrong by making these decisions. But in reality, it would be best for Riley's hockey high school years and future friendships. The old emotions even talk about how good some of anxiety's plans are. But even if it seems like it's best for Riley's future, it's not for her soul. You see, anxiety is all focused on herself. Anxiety focuses all on yourself and your situation. Riley has goals, and anxiety needs them to happen, and obsesses over them. In isolation, many decisions anxiety makes sounds good, but anxiety doesn't slow down. Every decision made in the pursuit of its goals only feeds the pursuit, and when Riley finds out her coach doesn't think she's ready, it hits her differently than it probably should. Anxiety just uses it as a means to drive Riley further and further toward a goal she thinks will make Riley happy. But again, Riley isn't perfect. She fails, and anxiety only builds more and more. I should say that healthy motivation, moderate stress, and a small fear of the future isn't just normal, They can help push us to make great choices. But as soon as anxiety enters the mix, a problem enters as well. I think Inside Out 2 has done a wonderful job showing us that, as I said before, the way Riley overcomes her anxiety attack was fantastic. I think it's a great film that adults will love and kids will enjoy, even if they might not understand the character of anxiety as well. Inside Out 2's theme is gonna get an 8 out of 10 for me today. Some final thoughts I have about the film before I give a final score. The comedy was a huge step up from Pixar's latest entries. Definitely not top tier, but definitely passable for adults and kids alike. The animation is pretty standard for Pixar. Most of everything looks fine, with quite a few special scenes with extraordinary details. I'm thinking of the climax of the movie in particular. The hockey game and anxiety attacks was done very well. The 2D animation was also very fun and integrated much better than I ever thought it would. The final score for Inside Out 2 is going to be a very happy 7 out of 10. I truly think the first Inside Out is way overhyped, and I've already seen people saying that this one isn't as good, which I think is total bonkers. But hey, everyone can have opinions, and I would love to hear what you guys think of the first and second Inside Out. Comment anything you like, and if you like hearing about animated movies when they come out, please consider subscribing or watching some of my other movie reviews. If you would like to hear me praise films, I have a top 10 video for you. Or if you want to hear me be a hater, you can click here and listen to me complain about Kung Fu Panda 4. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for Despicable Me 4.